The first paragraph, of course, is a statement that you are a juror in the case. Second paragraph says, toward the end of the trial after the President's Day break, but before Mr. Murdaugh testified, the clerk of court, Rebecca Hill, told the jury, quote, not to be fooled, unquote, by the evidence presented by Mr. Murdaugh's attorneys, which I understood to mean that Mr. Murdaugh would lie when he testifies. Is that what your recollection is of that statement?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there anything in the statement that, on reflection, you think is not correct?
No, ma'am.
All right. Number 3, she also instructed the jury to, quote, watch him closely, quote, immediately before he testified, including, quote, look at his actions, quote, and, quote, look at his movements, quote, which I understood to mean he was guilty. Is that an accurate recitation of your view of the matter?
Yes, ma'am.
Number 4, paragraph 4. Immediately after he testified, the foreperson said Mr. Murdaugh was crying on cue. Is that an accurate statement of what you saw and heard?
Yes, ma'am.
5, the foreperson criticized the former foreperson for handing Mr. Murdaugh a box of tissues when he was crying on the stand while testifying about his murdered son. She told the jury, we cannot interact with Mr. Murdaugh because that's what the defense wants us to do. Do you still stand by that recitation of that conversation?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Number 6, the jury frequently discussed the case during breaks before deliberation. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Number 7, toward the end of the trial, Ms. Hill came into the jury room a lot. Is that your recollection?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Hill and the foreperson had private conversations on multiple occasions. The foreperson would tell the bailiff that she needed to speak with Ms. Hill. Ms. Hill would arrive, and then she and the foreperson would go to another room for a private conversation. The conversations typically lasted 5 to 10 minutes. The foreperson never said anything about the content of the conversation. For example, she never communicated logistical information after these conversations. This happened 2 or more times, more frequently towards the end of the trial. Is that still your recollection of the interaction?
Yes, ma'am.
9, when we began deliberations, Ms. Hill told us this shouldn't take us long, quote. And if we deliberated past 11 p.m., we would be taken directly to a hotel. We had driven from our homes that morning and were not prepared to stay overnight. Additionally, smokers on the jury asked to be allowed to take smoke breaks, but they were told they could not smoke until after the deliberations were complete. Did you hear that?
Yes, ma'am.
Including the business about the smokers?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Number 10, I had questions about Mr. Murdaugh's guilt, but voted guilty because I felt pressured by the other jurors. Is that an accurate statement about your verdict?
Yes, ma'am.
After the verdict and immediately before sentencing, Ms. Hill pressured the jury to speak as a group to reporters from a television show. Is that an accurate statement of what she said?
Yes, ma'am.
And did some jurors decline to do that?
Yes, ma'am.
Juror Z, I asked you previously, was your verdict on March the 2nd, 2023 influenced in any way by communications from Becky Hill, the clerk of court? You answered that question, yes. In light of what you said in the affidavit, which is I had questions about Mr. Murdaugh's guilt, but voted guilty because I felt pressured by the other jurors. Is that answer that I just read a more accurate statement of how you felt?
Yes.
Overruled.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So you do stand by the affidavit?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. Thank you.